Very early in the morning, we arrive at the town of Salazes. It is surrounded by the highest points of the island. The Grand Binat, 2,896 meters. The Grosse Morne, 2,953 meters. And the Piton de Neige, 3,070 meters. Having taken the direction of Île-et-Accord, we park our car on one of the parkings close to the beginning of the footpath which leads to the Col du Taibit. It is a shaded footpath and well maintained by the forestry office. Peacefully quiet, Salazes wakes up in the distance. But don't forget, nearly 300,000 years ago, after the extinction of the Piton de Neige, this place was the theatre of an incredible spectacle. Born 3 million years ago, the ancient volcano that created this island approached 4,000 meters in height. At the place of the valley and right up to the ridges, everything was filled with basalt. 300,000 years ago, there were huge geological changes. The intestines of the volcano contained an immense empty magmatic chamber. The erosion slowly made its work of undermining, and the cataclysm arrived. The central caldera of the Piton de Neige collapsed, lowering by at least 1,000 meters the level and crushing the empty magmatic chamber. After 3/4 of an hour of peaceful walking, we arrive at the islet of the Three Salazes. Warmly welcomed by the Association of the Three Salazes, we drink a herbal tea before beginning our visit. Ian Winkless will be our guide, accompanied by Cyclone, his dog. He lives in this old shingle house, and his children are the fourth generation of his family. Ian tells us the history of the first habitants, runaway slaves called marrons. They populated the valley in the 17th century, long before the first Europeans. The lookout, Saint-Pierre, enabled the marrons to see the hunters arriving by observing the flight of the parrots frightened by their passage. In 1900, 26 varieties of parrots still existed at Réunion Island. They have all disappeared, eaten by the population. This place was ideal for the survival of our marrons, because there was running water, as shown by this eroded stone. The north-facing slopes made this place ideal for cultivating, well hidden and endowed with an ideal lookout. In this time was born the word Zoé. As it was difficult to bring back the slaves killed in the high mountains of the island, they cut off his 2 ears, because he was paid for pairs of returned ears. The French were then called oreilles, literally ears in Creole. Before, in Réunion Island, one planted 3 pickets of green wood in the ground, on which one placed the cooking pot. The meal was ready before the wood had time to burn. These cooking pot feet were called Salazes. There, high up, we see 3, the 3 Salazes. Once upon a time, there was a witch who had toes so big that she could use them as Salazes. To the right, one sees a bump, her knees. Then a bigger bump, her belly. Then here, the breasts and the head of the witch, lying on her back along the ridge. One day, the hunted marron called for help to the witch. The big crater was her cooking pot. Before it was called the devil's cooking pot, and it sat on her 3 toes, the 3 Salazes. With her magic, she she began to make animals. First, a parrot, because it is a good guard. Then a buzzard, because it sees a long way. Then she made bigger animals, a rhinoceros. Then a lion, a dog, here we see its head, and a cat, it's looking at the three Salazes. One day, the witch caught and ate all the soldiers sent by the settlers. Till the end of the 19th century, one called the belly of the witch Transversal. There one eats the foreigners. An old sailor told the worried settlers that in India he had seen big animals frightened by a mouse. So the settlers decided to send a rat. When the rhinoceros saw the rat, he was frightened, stopped, and all the animals behind him stopped too, causing the cooking pot to fall and break. The broken crater is all that's left of her cooking pot. The animals, being enchanted, stiffened and became rock. Later, one changed history so not to frighten the visitors. The population of Salazes and Mafat know the head of the dog. Nevertheless, on IGN maps, it's become the cow's nose. The place named Transversal disappeared as well. And one gave this pass the name of Taibit, rabbit droppings, while its true name is Taibé, big shit. In 1940, 150 persons lived on the islet. Intensive farming, deforestation, erosion and irrigation by flooding destroyed the ground. The islet was almost abandoned after 1945 because nothing more grew on it. There rested only stones. Since 10 years, Ian has created on the islet of the three Salazes a sustainable development program. He and the Association of the Three Salazes are rehabilitating the islet, developing environmental reconstruction techniques. All the islet looked like this witness field in 1999, and the earth had almost disappeared. Here is what it looks like 7 years later. At first he plants mimosas, living shade factors. The agapant drops the organic material between its leaves. Time transforms these fragments which fertilize and reconstitute the earth. It is a first example of associated cultures. Ian cuts mimosas so that they resist the cyclones by giving them a big, solid trunk. As it is a leguminous, it takes the nitrogen in the air and fixes it in the ground. According to necessities, mimosas are used for building, the kindling for the fire, and the leaves for the compost. Here, the geraniums are nourished by the juice of the compost. In the dry watercourses, Ian uses the leaves of sisal to create a carpet on the ground. After a few years, this vegetable matter fills in the space between the stones. The sisal or agave were formerly used to make ropes for boats. In the 1970s, Brother Jimalak had already begun the work of Ian by planting apricot trees, apple trees and plum trees. These trees lose their leaves in winter and help to reconstitute the earth. Ian builds living walls and grows different grasses in them to limit erosion. At the end of 2 years, he can cultivate in these walls. During the night, the stones restore the heat absorbed in the daytime. One can then lengthen the period of production. These walls also decrease strongly the erosion. He also plants bouillon blanc, of which the yellow flower attracts fruit flies and traps them in the hair of its leaves. This is another example of associated culture. The Islet has become a haven of peace, where everything breathes health. One finds there numerous endemic plants, flowers and birds. This bird, the virgin bird, is endemic. Easily recognizable, it has red wings, the grey breast and blue head. The tek-tek is easily recognizable, with the black head and its grey breast washed with orange. The green bird, or the bird with glasses, is also very recognizable, with the white circles around its eyes. There are others to discover, such as the cardinal with his red livery, or the white bird. Ian will tell you the other histories, such as the candy rose, or the origin of the name Maho. He will take you for a visit in the magic garden, where endemic plants grow, used to make herbal teas. Like it always has since a long time, the carry simmers on the fire. Ian believes in sustainable development and in participative tourism, so go and visit him and he will give you a real carry to taste.